it's my pleasure to introduce the commencement speaker. To our graduating students, Stefan Sagmeister, this year's commencement speaker, needs little introduction. He is, to put it simply, one of the most innovative and influential graphic designers working today, a cultural icon within the international design community. Stefan began his career in his native Austria. By the time a Fulbright scholarship brought him to study at Pratt Institute in New York in 1987, he'd already begun to associate his design work with contemporary music and arts counterculture. But it was in New York where his trademark acerbic wit appears to have fully emerged. After returning to Austria and a brief stint in Hong Kong, Sagmeister returned to New York where his firm, Sagmeister Inc., is currently located. Working with a client list that's ranged from the Rolling Stones to the Guggenheim Museum, and in collaborations with musicians like Lou Reed and David Byrne, Stefan has designed branding, graphics, packaging, billboards, posters, public art projects, in fact, you name it, that have continually challenged the status quo, as well as the conventional notion of the designer-client relationship. Along the way, he has received numerous design awards, honors, including 2 Grammys, and exhibitions on at least 3 continents. In addition to his design work, Sagmeister continues to inspire others as a teacher, international lecturer, and author. And although the many forms of his work have been variously described as brilliant, cunning, evocative, poetic, and of course witty, they have all been unified by Sagmeister's profound belief that good design should always touch the heart. Indeed, his motto is, design that needed guts from the creator and still carries the ghost of these guts in the final execution. It is a great privilege to have Stefan Sagmeister as today's speaker. Please join me in welcoming him.
This intro was longer than my speech is going to be. I'll tell you a little story that I've told quite a number of times before because it played a big role in my life, and it happened when I was a student. As was mentioned, I studied in Vienna, and I lived a little bit outside of Vienna, so I took the subway back and forward from the University of Applied Arts to my home in the 12th district. And I think shortly before I graduated, I saw this incredibly good-looking, older woman taking place on the other side of the subway car. And she just looked glorious, had a black coat on, black hat with red roses in the head, a little bit like a Catherine Hepburn character, and I had this inexplicable need and desire to tell her how good-looking she was. But this is not something that you do in Vienna. You know, you shut up, you respect other people's spaces, and you definitely don't talk to strangers on the street, for sure not in the subway. And as I was debating, should I go up to her, should I not? The train stopped, and she left the train. It was her stop, but it wasn't mine. And just before the doors closed, I jumped out of the train as well, and ran after her and said, hey lady, wait up, I have to tell you something. And she did wait, and I said, well, you are just so incredibly good looking. And her face just lit up. I could tell that this clearly made her day, and it truly made mine. And we talked for about 20 minutes, had a real connection, and I thought, I'm gonna do this all the time from now on. And strangely, this is not how it happened. Some of you might know that over the last 6 or 7 years, we published a lot of aphorisms, things I have learned in my life so far as pieces of design all around the world. And one of them that's very closely related to this beautiful, gorgeous lady in the Viennese subway story is having guts always works out for me. And I truly believe that. And if I look back and if I check my diary, I'm a big diary writer, that really is true. Every single time when I overcame my fear, it actually turned out well. And this has been, this old lady story is now 84, 25 years ago. And in 25 years, every time I overcame my fear, it turned out well. And I still haven't understood it. I still haven't incorporated properly into my life. I am still a chicken shit. And I don't say this lightly. I know, it's sort of like, calling yourself a chicken shit at a graduation ceremony, as I just proved, always gets a good laugh. The trouble is that I actually mean it, that this is true, that I still have to overcome my fear. There's a sympathetic quote from a boxing trainer, from Gus D'Amato, who was a trainer of Mike Tyson, among many others, who said that the difference between the coward and the hero is that while they both go through the same fear and they both experience the same amount of fear, the hero has a way to overcome it. So they start out the same. And I think I recently read a very wonderful explanation why I still haven't understood this against all better evidence, from a psychologist in the University of Virginia, Jonathan Haidt, who talks about the conscious and the subconscious, as the conscious being a tiny rider on a giant elephant, the subconscious. And the small rider thinks that he's in charge and can tell the elephant what to do. But the elephant somehow has his own idea of where to go. And in my case, and I feel that I would assume in many of your cases, as you get out of school and into the world, the subconscious being the fear and the conscious being the rider trying to direct it. Now, the very good news from a psychology angle is that over time, that rider can really tame the elephant and tell it where to go. And I can say that in the last 25 years, by keeping on it and sometimes giving in to my fear and just being too weak to overcome it, but sometimes giving myself that push and getting over it, I did train the elephant a little bit. And I'm on my way to getting a bit better. So I wish you all a lot of consistency and a lot of fun with the elephant training. Thank you so much.